Anne Frank, written by Isabel Sanchez Vegara, illustrated by Sveta, Dorosheva. Anne was a little Jewish girl who was born in Germany. She lived happily with her parents and her older sister Margot in the city of Frankfurt. But when she was 4, an ugly man with a little mustache became the leader of her country. His name was Hitler. He hated the Jews and wanted them to disappear. Anne's family moved away to Holland, which was a free country. Anne's father opened a business, and they had a home where they felt safe. But one day, the Nazis invaded half of Europe and arrived in Holland. Anne and all the other Jewish children were forced to go to separate schools and wear a star on their chest. For her 13th birthday, Anne's parents gave her a diary. That day, she discovered the pleasure of writing on her own. Anne wrote in her diary about how her family lived in fear of being arrested. They decided to leave their home and move to a secret annex behind a bookshelf at the building where her father worked. They had to share their tiny new home with another Jewish family and stay very quiet. They could not leave their hiding place in case anyone found them. Anne's diary kept her company, and she wrote in it for hours. She wanted to publish a book and become a famous writer. But one day, Anne stopped writing. The Nazi soldiers had found them, and they were all arrested. Anne's diary was left behind in her room. The family was pushed onto a train full of people on its way to a concentration camp. It took 3 long days for them to arrive at the worst place on earth. Anne's father, Otto, was the only member of the family to survive the terrible war. He found her diary and wept as he read what his young daughter had written. He decided to publish the diary and share Anne's story, just as she would have wanted. The world had to know the true story. Since then, millions of people have read and cried over the diary of Anne Frank, the story of the little girl who dreamt of a better world. Anneliese Frank was born in Germany to a happy family, but when she was 4, a cruel government called the Nazi Party came into power. It was led by a man named Adolf Hitler, a dictator who forced Germans to follow his unjust law. The Nazis hated many races, especially Jews, and brought in discriminatory rules against them. Anne's family had to move to Holland in order to be safe. But in 1939, the Nazi Party started World War II and began invading other countries, including Holland. In 1942, things got worse, and the Frank family had to go into hiding. They hid in a secret annex, tucked behind a bookshelf at Otto Frank's work. They hoped they wouldn't be arrested. Here, Anne kept a diary. She wanted to tell her story of the war and for people to read it. In 1944, German police broke into the annex and arrested Anne's family. They were all sent to concentration camps. Concentration camps were prisons where many Jews were first forced to work. There was little food and lots of people, and disease spread quickly, Most people did not survive. Anne died at the Bergen-Belsen camp in 1945, weeks before it was freed by Allied forces. After the war, Otto found her diary and published her story as she would have wanted. Anne became one of the most loved diarists in the world and captured the hearts and minds of the public. She lives on through her words and in all those who read her story. The end.